Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Jo, this is Joey Sewy, and today I'm going to tell you all about the things that I sewed in May. So in May I have 2 tops, 2 pairs of trousers and some embroidery and some interior sewing to tell you about. That's a lot actually. So let's get straight onto it. Before I tell you, get straight onto it and then I digress. So me. Before I tell you about the things I sewed newly, I just thought I'd show you this top, which if you watch my channel you will have seen it before, but I have not worn it in real life since I made it, and it's a funny one because I don't really know why. This is the top that I made out of the Friday Pattern Company's Wilder blouse. I made it back in January, possibly December, and I was inspired to compare it to a ready-to-wear top I did. So I did a whole video about how I made this top. I will link to it. This is the first time that I've actually worn it for real, and I've been struggling to think how to wear it. It's not a very lockdown top because it's got a bow here. It's quite slinky fabric. For me it's quite dressy. It might not be for you, but for me it's quite dressy. And it was just like, I don't know how to wear it. It's not very lockdown appropriate. I want to wear my pajamas. I'm still working from home, and I'm going to be working from home for probably months still. So this kind of clothes have not been what I have been into. However, today I found a way to wear it, and I found a way to wear it with a pair of trousers that I have made this month. So that's going to be the first thing that I'll tell you about. I'm going to move you down a little bit. I have made another pair of the Palisade pants from Papercut patterns. So here's the blouse. It's a raglan top. It's got elasticated sleeves. So raglan's got the sleeves here. It's got a gathered neckline. It's very simple to make. It's got a 2-piece front. But what I made this month are these trousers, which are the Palisade pants from Papercut patterns. And every time I say that, I feel like I'm trying to say a tongue twister. So if you don't know this pattern, I've made it before. It is made for wovens, although this is a jersey. It has a flat section at the front here, and then the rest of the waist is elasticated. And I've had a little bit of an issue when I've made this before about it feeling far too bulky, but this time I feel like I've got it right. The pockets are shaped like this, so I don't know if you can see, but on the original pattern there are 2 layers of pockets. There's a seam here, and there's a layer of pocket here, and then there's a layer of pocket here. Now every time I've made this, except for the toile, I eliminated the extra layer because I just didn't need all that bulk, and you end up with many layers of fabric on your hip. So the way I have eliminated all of that, you just have, you still got 3 layers of fabric, but otherwise you would have, I think it's 5 or 6. So I do prefer that. They have a tapered leg. They're 3-piece trouser, so there is a seam down the front here, which you might be able to see, and so there's an inner leg to the inside seam, sort of inner front, and then there's the side leg that goes from there to there, and then there is the back leg that goes from the side seam all the way around to the inside leg seam. So they're not the simplest of trousers to make, and that's what bamboozled me the first time I made them, but I do like how they look. So what I like about how this pair have worked out, and I think I really liked a navy Q-Pro pair that I made last autumn, or maybe end of last summer. So I do like that pair. That was a real success, and I think this is the second successful pair. And actually, since I paired it with this blouse, which I never realised had brown tones in it, because I never thought of this colour as being very brown. It's much more of an olive green, but of course that moves to brown. So they've been elevated by the blouse, because the trousers themselves feel a little bit pajama, and they're also not really my colour. I don't think, I love brown as a colour, but it's not really my colour to wear. I thought I'd get away with it on the bottom, but I'd been struggling, other than just white tops, which I do have one to show you. I was really struggling to know what to wear it with, but I think this elevates it. So what I've learned is t-shirts with these trousers kind of make them look like pajamas. They feel like pajamas, they're super comfortable, but I don't want them to look like pajamas unless I'm at home. So I think with a blouse, it brings it up and looks more like outerwear. This is really thin fabric in the sense that it literally has no thickness to it. So they drape really well, and that bulk problem with the pockets, with this fabric, to be honest, even if I had not eliminated the extra pocket, it probably would have worked reasonably well. So you do need a thin feeling or a literally thin fabric, but these are trousers, so you don't want something that's actually thin because you might not preserve your modesty. So this jersey weight fabric, which has a snakeskin print on it, works really well with that. I'm sure I've shown you this in a fabric haul. It was from Fabworks in Dewsbury. They may still have some online, so go and have a look. I bought it a few months ago. So you can see there, the print in real life looks a similar colour, but it's almost like it's a clear substance, kind of the plasticky substance that's been printed over the brown. So on the camera it looks like it's a different colour, but in real life it is more that it has added a sheen to create the pattern, but the colour is more consistent. So I love the pattern because they're not just brown, they're kind of plain but not plain. So I think the fabric was a really good choice, and that makes me feel really good, because one of the things that I often get wrong is the fabric to pattern choice. And this time, on about my 4th time of trying with these trousers, I think I got it right, and that does please me. I didn't adjust the fit any from before, but it feels like they fit a little better, and it's probably about the drape of the fabric. So basically my take-home message with the Palisade pants is you need drapey fabric that is thin in literal thickness, but also substantial enough to be trousers. I think they would be really good in a drapey linen, but this jersey has worked really well. Even though they're made for wovens, I made no adjustments for jersey other than the way that I sewed it with an overlocker. So inside you can see that the seams are all sewn with an overlocker, and I did not do the top stitching that you would normally do because I felt it would stretch out my jersey fabric. So normally there would be top stitching all the way down the seams, down the front leg, and in a woven fabric that looks really nice. It's a nice detail, but I left all of that out because this is a stretch fabric and I just thought it would make it ripple and it would spoil the finish, and I think I was right. You can still see the seam, so the detail is good enough. So for my next project, I'm going to quickly throw in the interior sew that I did, which was super simple. It was basically a curtain to cover over part of my wardrobes in my dressing room. I'm going to turn you around so you can see it. Here it is. It's the world's most exciting curtain competition. So as you can see, that is a triangular ceiling. It's full length, and essentially before I made the curtain it was open. So if you saw my dressing room tour a few videos ago, I'll link to it, then you will have seen this before I did the curtain. Behind there's a hanging rail, there's a shelf above. I also keep some yoga equipment, and it just didn't have a curtain over the top. This fabric, again, if you are a loyal watcher, you will have seen this fabric before because it's the fabric that I made my special dress with, and it's also the fabric that I have a lining on my curtains with. I bought the entire bolt. I've now used up the entire bolt, so I'm quite pleased that I have made use of all of it. It originally came from Fabworks in Dewsbury as well, but a different shopping trip. So that was made in about an hour, and it was one of those projects that had left it for about 5 months not done, and then when I did it I was so relieved. So that was a little quick win that I did this month. So moving on to the next garment that I made, I have got changed, and this is what I'm wearing. This is the Oliver top from Seamwork. It is a brand new pattern to me. I think it was released last autumn, so that's quite fast for me making something. And it is a fairly basic top. It's made for jersey, I think. If I'm wrong, I will correct myself, but I think it's made for knits. It's got a fairly wide neck. It's got very cropped length, I think. It's not described as a cropped pattern, but it's definitely quite cropped because I'm not the tallest person. It's quite loose fitting. It has a level hem, although I've slightly done a high-low hem front to back because I just like that. But the main design feature about it that I love is that it has what are called lantern sleeves. So what that means is that there is a seam just here, and it makes a slightly like a Chinese lantern shape. That's the idea. So it's really subtle, and you kind of, what it does is it really makes the sleeve look shaped when you bend your elbow. I like the effect. I will show you a little bit closer and see if you can see it better. So there you can see the seam on the sleeve, and basically you can see how it is slightly shaped. And then you can see that the seam pretty much hits on the elbow, and the way that the sleeve shapes as you wear it. So sleeves have been a big fashion thing for a few years now, and some of them are huge and dramatic. This is a really subtle action, or a really subtle effect of cutting. So it's not one of those that are difficult to wear or are very dramatic and only really for occasion wear or for those super extroverted type of people. I think it's much more everyday, and you can add into all sorts of patterns. This was supposed to be a test top. It's made out of a jersey that has a rib to it, or a knit that has a rib to it. Not a lot of recovery, so it wouldn't be much good for anything that needs recovery in it, but it's got plenty of stretch in it because it's knitted. I got this in Paris, darling, quite a few years ago. The elephant in the room is this design, which is not part of the original pattern, but which I have embroidered onto the top. So I love how this turned out. So that's how it looks. And if you get really close up on the detail of the stitching, what it is a running stitch that is then whipped. And what that means is you sew a running stitch and then you wrap another line of stitches, basically going around and around and around and around. If you look for whipped running stitch, whipped as in whipped cream, I think you'll find it. I'll try and put a link to a tutorial that picks up what I mean, so that you can look for it. The line drawing wasn't itself an embroidery pattern. I looked for continuous line drawing faces. I'd had some things on my Pinterest board for a while, but I looked for that on Pinterest, and then I just found one that I liked and I used it as an inspiration. I literally traced this with pencil onto the garment. So I held the picture against the glass, and then I held the fabric over the picture on a window so that the glass was coming through it, and then I traced in pencil, and then I sewed over the pencil. And I haven't washed this yet since I did the embroidery, and you can't see the pencil, so I didn't do it with anything thick or visible, but the pencil lines should wash out as well. And I was so pleased with how this looks. It was a really nice basic white top, but I was a bit underwhelmed with it, and also this was really just me testing the pattern, so I had nothing to lose by adding something extra to it. And I just love how it makes it look less pyjamas and more definite daytime wear. I guess at the moment I am particularly worried to make sure I don't look like I'm wearing my pyjamas all the time, because I'm always at home, and when I go back out into the wild when we're allowed, I don't want to have got into the habit of just wearing pyjamas and looking like I'm wearing pyjamas, because I don't want to. So this was garment number 2, but embroidery project number 1. And while we're on embroidery, I will show the other embroidery that I have either finished or started this month. Number 1 is this beautiful fellow. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but it looks like my boy cat, so I'm going to call him a him. I think I showed you this in my What Have I Been Sewing video last month. I think I did. And I finished him in May, quite early on in May. This was, again, another line drawing, so you can see where my creative preferences have been this month. This was a specific embroidery pattern, but it wasn't created and put on the fabric for me. It was basically just a PDF download that cost me £1. I'll put a link below, from, I think it's called Urban Threads. They have lots of embroidery and cross stitch and other kind of patterns. And you just, again, I traced it through with pencil. There are other ways of tracing, but if I can get away with doing pencil, it tends to be what I do because it's so simple. Paper to the window, fabric over again. You can see my arm and my hand a little bit through there. This is linen that I had an offcut of. I made some trousers with it a few years ago, and I haven't yet finished the back. So what I'll do is I'll trim it and then I will make it neater. That's my intention, but I haven't done that yet. And I'm intending that this probably hangs in my ensuite bathroom because it's a grey colour scheme. So yeah, I finished this one. I really was on an embroidery feeling mood because I started and finished this. Now, if you've been watching me on Instagram, or if you watched my favourites from, what month are we on? Favourites from April, you will have seen this kit because I bought it in April, and I started it, I think I started it in April. If I didn't start it in April, I started it very early May. So it's from a Scottish-based artist called Jenny Blair. She sells embroidery kits. So this was the whole kit and caboodle. It was the hoop, it was the fabric, the pattern was stenciled onto the fabric, it was the thread, and I'm pretty sure it was even the needle. So not the same kind of do-it-yourself as the cat, but still stitch it yourself. And I love how this has turned out. So there are quite a few different stitches here. You can see that the leaves are done in one way, this fern is done in another way, this fern another way again, and then this fern another way again. So I liked how it helped me practice lots of different stitches because I've done some embroidery before, but I'm not the most experienced embroiderer in the world, but I do love that. And wouldn't that look amazing? Maybe not on a white top, but on a jumper or a sweatshirt, I would love that. So seeing as I seem to be embroidering everything at the moment, maybe I could do that. And then finally, I thought I would share with you, while we're on embroidery, this is the last one, my work in progress, which is literally in progress because it's got the needle hanging off it. This is what I'm doing now, and this is totally made up by me. And I had some greens left over from the fern kit, and I had some greens already hanging around. I don't have lots of embroidery threads, but I have a few, and I had some greens. So I've just taken all the greens I've got, I put them all in here, a little Ziploc bag, which was like 50p, I think, from Wilko's. Helps to keep everything together, and the hoop just fits. And I drew a circle. You can't, oh, actually the camera's picking it up better than my naked eye. I drew a circle based on about 1/2 centimetre inside the inner hoop. And then what you can see here, which is washable marker, although I'm also stitching over it, so I'm intending that it won't be visible when I'm finished. I drew arcs within that circle, and my intention is that I'm just going to use up all the green thread I've got, working from dark to light, going from this side to this side. I may or may not fill the whole circle, but if I don't fill it, I'll have like a crescent shape or a little circle in the middle. So that's what I'm working towards, and I am literally making it up as I go along. And I'm practicing lots of stitches that I'd never done French knots before. This is what these are, these dots here and here. I made that one up, I made this one up, I made that up. I'm just doing what I feel. I hadn't really done a lot of satin stitch other than in that ferns design. So it's just, each time I change to a new section, I think, what do I fancy doing now? I want to work in a few sashiko style stitches just to have a little practice with them. Honestly, the curved areas are not necessarily the best in the world to do sashiko because it is often geometric, but I don't care. I'm going to practice like that anyway. So this is feeling really fun, just playful, using things up. This fabric is some green, probably cotton, which I got from Fabworks again, and I have cut out but not yet sewn, so it'll be hopefully next month's video, another pair of Palisade pants. So the ones I'm wearing that I've already shown you, they're in a stretch fabric, in a knit. This is definitely not a stretch, this is a woven, so they will come out slightly different, but it's also a lightweight fabric, so I'm hoping I'll get a success with that. The only thing I'm worrying about is, can you see, slightly see-through, and we'll see how that works out when they're trousers. I think it'll be all right, fingers crossed. So that was all the embroidering I've been doing this month. A lot of embroidering. It's helped me slow down quite a lot, and I guess it's kind of a summer equivalent of knitting, because I have got a knitting project on the go, but I haven't touched it for quite a few weeks because it's been quite hot. It's cooling down a little bit, we might have a cool week or two, maybe I'll go back to it, but yeah, that's how I go with my handwork. We have got 2 more garments to get through, and I thought I'd show you this garment before I put it on and after. So these are the Avery leggings, which don't look like much, by Helen's Closet. And the way I'll show you the outside and then I'll show you the inside. So I've done these as kind of flat fell seams so that they are as smooth and sleek and comfortable as possible. So I have a cover stitch machine. I'm very lucky. I got one 3 years ago now. So this is the reverse side of a cover stitch, and it's done with nylon, woolly nylon thread, which is very stretchy thread. So it means it has all the give in it. It's very secure because it's done with 3 needles, but it means that it's completely secure. On the inside, which is officially, that is the right side of the stitching, you can see that there are 3, it's like three twin needles. That's not even a thing, but 3 parallel needles. That's what you get on the inside. So I hold it flat. In fact, what I did, I basted it and then I went over the seam with a cover stitch, and literally over the seam line so you can't see it. I've picked that up from ready to wear because a lot of technical ready to wear leggings are like that. I am not perfect at doing cover stitch yet, and occasionally it skips a stitch. Can you see that? So that's skipped a stitch. Now that's not going to unravel, but it is a danger, and there's not really much you can do to go back other than unpick it all, and frankly I couldn't be bothered. So it is a bit of a danger that you get little bare areas, but they don't tend to unravel, so you'll be okay. One thing I like about the Avery leggings, now these have been my go-to leggings for my yoga teaching for at least a couple of years. I have a couple of black pairs identical to these that I wear every single time I practice or teach yoga, and they've held up to it. So I know what I'm talking about in terms of the robustness of these. I really do, because I have seriously road tested them. And one of the things that's great about the fit is that they have, I'm trying to show you, this little triangular, which I can't really show you on me, or frankly don't want to, but that is a crotch gusset. And it's a little triangular insertion. The flat part of the triangle faces to the front of your body, and the pointy part of the triangle curves around under you to the back, and that makes the fit so much more comfortable on a pair of leggings. It's, you know, the triangle's not big, but it makes a huge difference. Now the last thing, I also did the hems with the cover stitch, same effect. The last thing to show you is how I've done the waistband, and then I will show you them on my body as well. Now you see it's bright white. That's simply because this was the fabric I had. I have basically lined the tall waist section, because I have done the high-waisted version of the leggings, with power mesh, which is more commonly found as shapewear, swimsuit lining, and in underwear. The pattern has you put, it does have the waistband lined, but it lines it with the same fabric as on the outside, and it has you put elastic in the top. Now that works well enough, but I prefer using power mesh because it stops you having one line that digs in, and it makes the whole of the top much more secure and less likely to move. It draws you in a little bit, so it does shape you a little bit, but I often have a sensitive tummy, and in yoga you do squash and squeeze your tummy, and it doesn't irritate in the same way that one sharp line of elastic can irritate. So to be honest, in the pattern, you're not supposed to have a sharp line because you're supposed to use fabric that has really, really strong recovery so that the leggings and their negative ease, i.e. they're smaller than your body before you put them on, hold onto the body itself. So they shouldn't be falling down. If they're falling down, you've made them too big. But the elastic at the top is just like the last cherry on the cake. Now you do need the cherry, but it shouldn't be cutting you in half. But I prefer to replace the lining of the waistband with power mesh. I would have used nude or black, but I didn't have any. And when they're on, you can't see them. It is really bright when they're not on, but who other than you and me is going to see that? So I'm going to get changed into these and my last garment because they go together. I've been a bit coordinated. It was sort of intentional, sort of by accident. So I've made an outfit here in the white top and the brown trousers. And I have also made an outfit with my next two makes with the leggings, the Avery leggings, and the mystery item about to be revealed. I thought I'd just give you a quick walk back and forth wearing just the leggings first of all so that you can see how they fit. So they are really high-waisted. My navel is there, the top of the leggings is there. It pulls you in and you can see that it pulls you in quite a lot because I've got a little bit where it bulges out there. That's not uncomfortable, and that is partly because I am slightly bigger than the first time I made this pattern, but it's fine. I don't care. I don't usually wear that with this area exposed anyway, so that strange slight bulge out does not bother me. It's got a front seam which you don't have to emphasize with stitching, but I have. There is a back seam which equally you don't have to emphasize with stitching, but I have. The other, so there is no side seam here like a legging would normally be, so the leg pieces are all one, and then there is a inside leg seam like there. Now if you'd like to see these leggings in actual yoga action, I will link to a video where I have taught yoga in them because I'm also doing yoga videos at the moment. If you don't know, I'm a yoga teacher. None of that will make sense, but I'm a yoga teacher, so I have another channel called Jo Cook Yoga, and while we are all locked down, I have videos on there. So that is what these leggings look like. Wiggle my bum. That's what these leggings look like without their partner garment. I will put that on right now. So this is the Oliver top again. So this is exactly the same pattern as this, except clearly it's not the same. It's got some significant differences. So let me show you the garment. It goes with the leggings because the leggings are an olive green. Guess where the fabric for the leggings was from? It was from Fabworks. This fabric was from the Shuttle Shipley a while ago, so they don't sell online and they won't be open at the moment, but also they only have kind of end of lines generally. So unfortunately this fabric won't be repeatable. I simply bought it for the colour because the colour is amazing. It is lengthened to be a tunic. It has a bottom band. There you go, you can see I've sewn the bottom band on. It still has the lantern sleeves with the seam down the middle. This time I ended the sleeves with a little cuff because the sleeves come out a little bit short and I wanted these sleeves to be slightly longer, but also I felt like the cuff echoed the band. And then there is a funnel neck variation. So the funnel neck variation is something that is on the Seamwork website. One of the things that is great about their patterns is that with every pattern they tend to also create hacks or give you options for different ways you could use the pattern. So the white top was the made out of the packet, this is how it's drafted to be version, but then there is how to add a pocket at the front, how to do a funnel neck, and how to lengthen it to be a tunic. So I've done the funnel neck and the tunic at the same time here, and I chose to make this when it was a little bit cooler because I wanted something to wear with leggings. Again, a bit secret pajama-y. These leggings are so comfortable, but I don't have a lot of hip length tops to wear with leggings, so I wanted something that would fill that gap in my wardrobe. This green fabric was perfect for that, and the Oliver top was what I was trying out with the white to see how I liked it before I cut into this green, which I only had a little bit of, and I love it. I really love how it fits, how it feels, how it looks. It's kind of a little bit 60s with the funnel neck, but because it's quite open, it's not a super warm top. Maybe for some of you, you would be super hot, but I'm a cold person, so I don't find this too hot. On a cooler spring day, it's completely fine. Honestly, even on a warm spring day, for me, it's completely fine. Still love the lantern sleeves that I love in the original version. Really like the effect of the funnel neck top. I think it probably widens my shoulders a little bit and increases the width of that silhouette. I had to shorten it. Well, I lengthened and then I shortened it again. And as I say, I added the band on the bottom to kind of bring it in a little bit. So the shaping from here down is what I added when I lengthened the tunic. So that's kind of my design, where it goes slightly in, not hugely. I still wanted to be able to move. I didn't want to have anything that was super clingy, but I wanted something that was a little bit shapely, and I think I've got that. I am just completely in love with this. It's partly because I adapted it and I hacked it. That always makes something feel a bit more yours, doesn't it? Colour is amazing. It is really useful. I love that I've got both this in my wardrobe, but also now I have a pattern that I can use in my wardrobe more, because I can make this with the open neck like the white top, which is down there, which is why I keep indicating down there. But I like the funnel neck. Yeah, total win. I had a really positive sewing month, and I'm very excited to be back sewing a bit more, because the last video I think I was a bit apologetic, or the one before, about not having sewn very much, and I'm definitely back in the sewing mood. It's great. If you'd like to support my channel, you can support me on Ko-fi. I say this on each video, and I also say that there is no obligation whatsoever to support me. You do support me because you watch my videos, and that's the most important thing. But if you would like to make a little contribution to say thank you for all the content that I create for you guys, then go to my Ko-fi page. The link is on the screen now, and you can do that there. And I appreciate every single thing that you do for me. I will be here next week very soon with another video, and my next video will be continuing the series I did recently. The first video I did recently, which was my 5 free sewing tools. I am going to do another one, which is my 5 absolutely essential invest in sewing tools. So I'll see you soon. Bye.